So today we're going to work on the beginning of Kuo Lien Ying Saber form, section 3. We just completed section 2, and to review where we are, I'll do section 2 in its entirety, and we'll end up in the cat stance ready for beginning of section 3. So in section 2, we start off with this on guard cat stance. We did the wrap into the crane stance, the slice behind, into a blade hand strike, turn, then first kick, second kick, walk in a circle, and then jump into the cat. So this is where we're going to begin the lesson. Now, this next move is going to be one of the harder moves in the Saber form, so we're going to have to take some time and break it down. The rest of that section will be a repeat of section 1 where we're walking backwards, so we're not going to concentrate on that too much. I want you to work on this one move that jumps from one falling stance into another falling stance, and a lot of people are going to find this pretty difficult to do. Even advanced practitioners might find this difficult. And I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to do it. Sifu was an old school teacher, and he didn't really have different ways to do it. He had just one way to do it, which was kind of more the extreme way. And again, being old school, you couldn't do it, and that was you just couldn't do it properly. But since a lot of my YouTube followers are getting older, they've maybe learned the sword set before, I like to show alternative ways to continue doing this form even into your advanced age. So that's why I'm showing alternative, easier ways to do it. And if you're a beginner, just to kind of learn the sequence of the form, you can kind of modify it so you learn the basics. But again, in trying to preserve Master Kuo Lien Ying's traditional form, I always try to show the way that he taught it. So that's how we're going to do this. So we're going to do this first move of section 3, from the cat into the falling slice and then jump into the other side. And I'll kind of break it down step by step. So in teaching this, I'll show it from a couple of different views, both in the correct direction that you're going in. If you start the form facing this way, and I'll do a forward facing view so you can see the transition and more detail. Each of the sections generally moves in a general direction. So section 2 starts way over here and eventually ends up going this direction with a turnaround coming back. And in this section 3, we'll be moving in this direction and end up with a cat stance in this, facing back this way, but over on this side. So we'll start off in the cat stance for this particular move. Goes from here. And from here, we're going to do this like in the other section, the block to the knee into a crane stance, and then step out. And generally, I turn my foot this way as I step out, so when I do the falling stance, I don't have to do the pivot, but you can do the pivot as you drop into the falling stance. You're going to drop into the falling stance and do a slice. And again, from here, from the cat into the crane and block, and then into a slice. But you end up with a slice coming back and hand raised, just like all the other ones like that, except that you're in the falling stance. So this part isn't like really difficult. Maybe dropping into the falling stance will be the hardest part of this. Again, in the old school, it's like into a high crane and then drop into the falling stance. One tip that I can give you is to wait here until you do the wrap before you step into the falling stance. That way you can have the full power of the slice as you do into the drop. So again, from here facing this direction, you're going to do the knee block for the crane stance, finish your wrap, and then slice. One more time. From here, crane, wrap, slice. Try to be upright if you can. Okay, one more time. From here, this first drop won't be as difficult. Okay, so we're going to get into the hard part. From here, from the falling stance here, you're going to have to leap into the falling stance as you do the wrap. So that's going to be the difficult part, and it's pretty hard to show it in slow motion. Maybe in the editing I'll play it in slow motion so you can kind of see the timing of the jump better. But again, in the old school tradition, just go for it. And you're trying to go from falling stance on one side, jump up, end up on the falling stance on the opposite side with the wrap. So the wrap would be different because the falling stance will be on the same side that you do the wrap. So you end up in this position here rather than this position here. Okay? So I'll do a little bit faster this time. From here, the first falling stance, and then jump right into the falling stance on the opposite side. And then it moves out into the backward sweeping walk. But for now, I want to concentrate just on this 2 jumps. Takes a lot of energy, so it's going to be kind of hard to kind of verbalize as I'm trying to do this pretty active jump. So again, one more time in kind of the faster old school tradition. From here, high crane, wrap, sweep, then jump right into the falling stance on the other opposite side. And then need to be kind of like out. So let's just work on just that jump. So I think if I show it in this direction, you'll be able to see better. Let's do it on this side. From here, it's going to be the wrap, and then the sweep into the falling stance. From here, you have to kind of lift yourself up and jump, and then kind of switch into this side as you come down. So I'll do it again. Full speed, the wrap, and then we'll show it slow motion. So this is a tip for how to generate power and flow to jump into the other side. One of the general Kung Fu principles is to use movement in order to generate movement. And just like if you were standing there and you wanted to jump up, you're not going to use your hands. Most people would like throw their arms up in order to gain the power to jump higher. And so the same way in this sword movement, jumping from one side to another, you're going to use the slice and the wrap just like you would trying to raise your hand up in order to generate the power to do the turn into the other side. If you're doing the old school, fast, high type of movement. And so we'll do that and I'll demonstrate that. I can't describe the exact moment of timing, but because if you do the slice too late, you're kind of working against it. And if you do it too soon, then before you get jumping into the actual side, you're going to mess up and you won't be able to use the power of that slice and wrap. So it's something that you do just from practicing over and over and being observant in order to kind of see what the timing is for that movement to help you do the jump. So from here, when you do the wrap and, like I said, wait for the slice here. So when you do the slice here, you're going to want to use that slice and the wrap into generating that flow and the power into the jumping into the other side. So that's a key that you have to kind of become conscious of. Maybe if we play it in slow motion, you'll be able to see better what the timing is. So one more time, a little bit more at full speed without talking in stops. From here, so let's cover what the sword is actually doing as you're doing this jump. So from here, you're doing a block, and then the slice, low slice, to the opponent's legs, and then again slicing to the opponent's legs here as you transition into this guard position. So again, from here, up, slice, and jump into here. And then you're going to be moving back into the slice. But we'll cover that in the next lesson. And that'll be easy because we've already done that move. So I'm going to show you a slightly easier way to do this transition. Especially if you can't do the full falling stance or you can't leap out of it and jump in the air and do your twist and come back down. That's pretty understandable. And if you're just kind of like beginning and you want to get through this section, this probably will be a good alternative for you to do while working on the full leaping from falling stance to falling stance. Again, whether you can do a full falling stance, because a little bit about the falling stance is that if you're just dropping down here and you're like having to use your leg strength to hold yourself up for the falling stance, then it becomes pretty hard to actually to utilize your ligaments and tendons to kind of spring out of that falling stance. When you finally get to where you can kind of drop down low, you find a bounce at the end, which helps you to be able to kind of bounce out of one stance, falling stance, into another move. So that's the advantage of getting that stretchability, the flexibility, so that you can kind of utilize your ligaments and tendons that kind of stretch in your muscles to bounce out of that falling stance. So just dropping down kind of slow makes it kind of difficult to kind of come back up again because you're doing kind of like a one-legged squat. So let's do this kind of the old man version, old person version. Okay, so we're going to just do a half falling stance. And from here, and you can do this slow now. You don't have to like do it fast. To wrap, step out into however falling stance you can do. And then you can come up into this position. And then as you do your slice, you can kind of change and just drop back down into the falling stance on the other side. So that's going to be the easy way to do it. Again, let me do this again. From here, just be sure you get your timing right. The block in the crane stance, the step out, the slice into the partial falling stance, come up, slice, and hop down into however deep a falling stance you can do. And that'll be good enough for now. One more time on this. From here, the crane stance and the block, and then the step out and the slice into the falling stance. Come up like that, slice, hop into the falling stance on the other side. Okay, so you can practice this kind of individually. You don't have to go through the full form and then do this move in the form. If you do that, then you'll be so tired out that you won't be able to really work on this particular move. So again, as in some of my other presentations, I encourage you to kind of separate it into sections and work only on the moves that you're having difficulty. The easy moves, you can breeze through those and then work on the hard moves. So you can work on this move individually like it was just a separate move, and until you get the strength to flow through this move. So any questions you have, be sure to leave them in the comment section and be sure to address them. Good luck with this move. Thank you.